Welcome back, everyone. So we're taking a look at Lori Vallow again and the case out of Idaho and the ongoing twisted saga of her attorney, Mr. Means, filing weird motions that, well, just make you kind of scratch your head and go, what? There's no good transition to it. So let's just go ahead and jump into it because it just gets stranger and stranger as we go along here. So yesterday, March 8th, in case you were not aware, there was a court hearing in this case that could have easily been solved and finished in a short manner of time. But of course, whenever you throw Mr. Means into the case, it gets twisted, it gets weird, and it drags on. So yesterday, there were two motions that were supposed to be heard by the state of Idaho in a Zoom meeting with Mr. Pryor, Mr. Means, Mr. Wood, and the court reporter and the judge who is sitting on this case. They were all supposed to have a quick motion hearing on two things. The first motion that Mr. Means has filed and wanted to be heard was a change of venue for the actual case. He wants to have this case moved from there to Boise, Idaho. And because he believes that they will be able to find a more impartial jury and a larger jury pool in Boise as opposed to where they are having the case now. I don't know how he's going to find a more impartial jury there, but that's not really my concern or anybody else's concern. But as far as the case goes, good luck, Mr. Means, because everybody has heard about this case and he's going to have objections and motions that he's going to file over everything. Even if he finds 12 people, to sit on a jury, he's going to find motions to file on why he wants to have the jury disqualified after he picks them. So anyways, that could have been a simple, in and out motion. He wants to submit testimony. Not the proper time to do it, Mr. Means. You don't file testimony at this point on why you feel that there would be an impartial jury selection where the court case is going to be heard now. But he wanted to, and the judge decided after approximately 4 minutes into the actual open hearing on Zoom that we all could have watched, the judge decided that, well, we're going to cover this in a breakout session that is not open to the public. You can then bring it up then on why you want to have this case moved, and I will determine at that point what we're going to do. So there was no public actual access to that portion of the actual hearings from yesterday. The second motion that he wanted heard was he filed a motion to have the last name of Daybell removed from all charges that Lori is currently facing, and to have the charges only listed as Lori Noreen Daybell. And he went a little bit, rogue, I guess you could call it, because before the actual hearing yesterday, he made sure that the public at large was aware that they are legally married by filing and releasing the actual marriage license for Lori and for Chad. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday afternoon at 11:15 a.m., we have actual confirmation of the actual wedding license between Lori and Chad. It is official. It was received. It was notarized, and it was put into record but it was also released to the Associated Press and to anybody who wanted to get a copy of it, from his actual law offices. So the wedding license has been released. Two interesting things about the wedding license itself. Chad and Lori did not acquire the license for marriage anywhere except for in Hawaii. They went there, they filed under to get the wedding license underneath religious release, which means that basically there wasn't an extended waiting period where they needed to do blood work. At some states, not in Hawaii, but some states require blood work in proof that you're not marrying, your first cousin, because that'd be strange, right? And as opposed to Lori marrying a man whose wife died 2 weeks prior or a month prior or whatever, the strange case that we are looking at here. But they legally, they filed and they got the marriage license there in Hawaii. The second thing that is interesting about the actual marriage license itself, and I will put up a full screen version of it here at the end. It's not the best, copy of it. It is the legal copy of it from the state of Idaho. But the interesting part about that is she put her name down as Lori Noreen Ryan Vallow. Now, there could be issues with that and legally, because Lori Vallow lost the ability to use the last name Ryan after Joseph Ryan and her divorced, and she legally changed her name back to just Vallow. Now, why did she do this? When did she do this? This all happened. She changed her name legally back to Vallow when she applied to get death benefits from Mr. Joseph's estate from the Social Security Administration for JJ. When she filed, around the time that she filed to actually have her name changed. She also did this and acquired a driver's license in the state of Idaho. When they moved from Arizona to Idaho, she got a driver's license with just the last name of Vallow, not Ryan, just Vallow. She is listed on her driver's license there as Lori Noreen Vallow, no Ryan. But it does call into question, is the marriage license legal? Well, she did use a state of Arizona driver's license when they both had to show identification. And as far as the state of Hawaii was concerned, it was her actual legal name. They did not know that she was applying underneath a name that is not legal to her anymore. Now, sure, that's just a technicality, but that's a technicality that definitely could get the marriage license null and voided, and therefore, tossed out that it was a legal marriage. It wouldn't take much for them to, get one in Idaho now and be married, while they're both in jail. But anyways, though, so that's the second thing that is very interesting about the marriage license itself, that she used that. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, when she was arrested before her extradition hearing back to actual Idaho from Hawaii, she did have both driver's licenses with her in her purse, along with the birth certificates for both JJ and for Tylee. Now, for her to say that she didn't know that her children were dead is really odd. I don't know of anybody that I've ever met in my life personally that has decided that they're going to go away to someplace, to get married, who decided that, out of all the documents that I have in my file box at home, I'm going to grab the birth certificates to both of my children who are not going with me to this wedding. I'm going to grab those. Why would you need the birth certificates for both of your children if they're both alive and well, Lori? But she did. And she had both driver's licenses with her with different names on it. When the warrant was issued for extradition back from Hawaii to Idaho, they did apply and underneath and on the actual warrant itself for extradition, they did list her as all of her known last names and possible last names, including Cox and Ryan, Vallow, Daybell. They listed all of those as possibilities because they didn't know which name she was possibly using while they were on the run. And the other thing that kind of screams that they were doing this and trying to skirt the actual laws and for anybody to catch up with them was the day that they left Idaho, they had taken a large sum of cash out of the bank and had gone off the grid for almost a month before they appeared in Hawaii. And we know they weren't in Hawaii. We still do not know where they were officially for that period of time, at almost a month before the time that they left and they turned up in Hawaii. We know when they landed in Hawaii. We know when they rented the condo in Hawaii. We know when the marriage was in Hawaii, but we do not know where they were from the time that they vanished in Idaho and then turned up in Hawaii. So is the marriage license valid? That's something the court's going to have to take up at a later date. But she wants to drop the last name of Vallow from everything. And the state of Idaho will not be dropping the last name Vallow. They may drop it as the legal name and list it as a secondary name, but as a otherwise known as an AKA, but they will not drop it because the crimes were committed while she was a Vallow. She skipped out of the country, out of the lower 48, not out of the country completely, but she left and was extradited underneath the last name of Vallow. She was using the last name Vallow when she was in Hawaii. The condo, it was rented to Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, not Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell. It wasn't listed that way. It was listed as Vallow. So she's going to have a hard time, getting the court to say, you know what, I was the Daybell. Just change it for me. No, they're going to list it as nothing else. They're going to change it to be just a otherwise known as, but they're going to still keep it on there. Why this is important to her, I don't know. It's just another motion in the long series of strange motions that Mr. Means has filed on her behalf. So again, at the end here, I will put up the official document of their marriage at the in Hawaii, and they did file underneath religious exemption. So where the state would have looked at the license before they issued the license to be married, they would have looked at it closer. They didn't because of religious exemptions. A lot of people do it for a lot of different reasons, but that's what they filed underneath when they checked the box. It's not like they had to write it out. They checked the box that they were getting married for and for religious reasons in Hawaii. So yeah, the closed meeting that they had yesterday lasted approximately 45 minutes. We do not know what the outcome of any of that was, but they did set a new court date for April 7th to hear the motions of moving it to Boise or to another location. I can't see where else in Idaho he would want to move it to, but that is the speculation that's out there. And I know he did mention Boise before, but he didn't mention it yesterday that is where he wanted to move it to. But I mean, I'd assume it'd be the same place since he mentioned it once before. No, that's where we're at in the crazy, crazy twisted, Lori Vallow series that is going on here. And what's next? How many more motions is Mr. Means going to file before we ever get this case going? It just keeps on going. The court date for March 22nd is still on record, but Mr. Pryor has already informed the court that he has a prior engagement and may not be able to make the March 22nd hearing by Zoom or in person. So we don't know if that court date on March 22nd will actually happen, but we do know it was agreed upon that April 7th, they will have the next court date on this case. So that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're all having a terrific week. Stay safe out there. Until next time. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you'd give this a thumbs up, and let YouTube and the algorithm know that you enjoyed this content. If you have only watched one video and this is it, well, thank you for stopping by. But I have a whole channel of over 500 videos for on YouTube right now. Why don't you go check one out? Links are down below. There's a next suggested video there. You can subscribe too. I wouldn't mind if you would do that.